Welcome to the Numerology and the Astrology for April 16th, 2020. So if you add all those numbers together, you get a 15, and if you add the 1 and the 5 together, you get a number 6. The number 6 is associated with Saint Hildegard, and it's related to meditation and spirituality and the quiet and the solitude that is needed for deep contemplation and for understanding and integration of higher truths. It's a number of great art and creativity and expression, but it is usually isolated and more quiet and more introspective, and it's something that comes from inside of you out. So, needless to say, there is a lot that each of us could focus on in meditation and prayer today. So look at what you have in your life that gives you hope and gratitude, and send energy to those people that have impacted you in a positive way. Know that it is through love that we are all connected. Even in the solitude right now, you are not alone. You are never without support from guides and angels, and you are constantly surrounded in love from the universe. I like to kind of do my day, and most of the time I say I'm cheating. And what I mean by cheating is that I don't know how I would do anything without angels and guides kind of whispering things in my ears. So, an easy example is people say, how do you find so many lost things, Suzanne? And I go, well, I have angels that go, oh, it's, in the purse over there, or, oh, it's underneath a whole bunch of files at the bottom of this pile here. And so take a look at all of the help that you are getting that is probably from the spiritual side. Notice all the lovely little rainbows that are handed you, or something really positive that comes your way, or something that makes you smile, because those are the things that we need right now. And we're doing really, really well. I want everybody to recognize that this introspection and contemplation is really making everybody reevaluate the busyness in their life, and suddenly making them see that they want a different life and they want new priorities. So I can't tell you how many clients are calling and saying, I think I'm quitting my job, and I think I want a different life. And I think, this is the first time in my life that I've had that peace and solitude and quiet. So I think that we can do more with less. And when you get still, you start to recognize how really little you need. I remember when I lived in Berlin, Germany, and I had an apartment that was 21 quadrat meters, which is kind of the size of a regular bedroom. So in America, and it's very small, and in there is a little kitchenette and a bathroom and everything. And you suddenly realize how little you actually need to survive. You actually don't need as much as our consumerism American way thinks about. But when you're alone and you're still, things simplify. And I think we need that. I think the world would appreciate it if humanity would take less and give more. And that's what the number 6 day is about at the moment. In the astrology, the moon is in Aquarius, and it conjuncts Mars in Aquarius. And this can make some irritable, boastful, gossipy, and for some violent. So notice the tensions in your body and actively do your very best to rest and relax. Just be honest about what you need and be fair with others in all your interactions. It's kind of clear that the world needs new ways for us to engage and interact. And so to me, go slow, be gentle, recognize that there are some big emotional stresses that were happening yesterday and today. They're going to be continuing, and just notice how you process that. And I always operate from the place that if I'm in reaction, it's about me. It's not really about anybody else. Somebody else can be triggering me, but it actually is about me. And kind of get still and be kind no matter what. So no matter how you're feeling, don't take out how you're feeling on somebody else, because they may not understand how you're feeling. They might not notice that you're exhausted. And I think it's a really good moment to just say, I, for some reason, am completely exhausted. I mean, I know I've had all this time off, but I'm just completely exhausted, because the emotional toil that the emotional toll that this has taken on all of us is massive. It's just massive. And I think people are starting to see it now. There is a Venus-Jupiter sesquiquadrate, if I can say that word correctly, and it occurs early, making you seek out something, though you may not know exactly what it is you're looking for. So I always say, okay, you want something to be different. You don't know what that something is. And until you get a full body, yes, like this is it. I know, I'm totally congruent. Don't waste your time, thought, energy on any of it right now, because things are sort of murky and they're confusing today. And it's never good to make decisions when there is so much that's still uncertain and unclear. I always say, if you don't know, it's a no. If you're not sure, it's a no. If you don't know, don't go. Okay, so kind of just manage your feelings. And, what you really need right now is great kindness. And you need to share that with others. All right. So, my quote for today. In the languages of ancient times, if you find the rhythms and the rhymes, you discover a doorway to the past. You can see the moments that were aghast. You find a place where memories are stored, visions come, and histories restored. Can you catch the echoes between time? If you can, you are part of that paradigm. Some things try to help you remember and see moments in time and glimpses of history. Open yourself to notice what has been. Become a bridge between now and then. Let the wisdom of other times give you deeper insight into the sublime. Okay, so everybody keeps liking the Peru stories. So I'm going to continue on the Peru stories clearly for a while, I guess until I run out of Peru stories. So thank you all for being interested in them. And I'm always interested to hear other people's spiritual journeys and experiences that have changed their perception around mysticism and magic and spirituality. So love to hear yours too. Okay, so when I would take groups to Peru, we would always go to the Urubamba Valley, which has many amazing archaeological ruins to see. One of the spectacular ones is called Pisac, and it's this fortress that has this ridiculously high wall that was clearly designed for protection. And the ruin sits at the top of a hill, and the climb is spectacular, though in places pretty scary because there's no handholds and it's just steps going up into the abyss. And the temple often sits in these old ruins. The temples often sit on top of the mountains, and the towns that supported that temple rested below the great walls of the temple. This temple always felt wonderful and powerful. But because I had gone to Pisac so many times, I decided while all of my clients were exploring the ruin up top and the temple up top, I would instead explore the ruins below, which I had never really done. And it was an area that was clearly laid out as a small town with buildings and little roads that connected them all. And as I'm wandering through, I can suddenly feel something watching me. I feel like now I'm on one of those ghost adventures or something stories. So anyway, so it was clearly some dark wizard or shaman that took it upon himself to protect the ruin, but something felt really aggressive and threatening about it. Then I realized that everyone always went to the temple, but never to the town below. And this ghostly energy was becoming more and more aggressive. Without knowing why, suddenly I started singing in Quechua, which is the language of the people of the Andes. Now, you might have heard from some of my other things that I end up speaking languages and Latin comes out of my mouth, and I never studied Latin. And so I have these weird things that are clearly from past lives that kind of pop out at interesting moments. But all of a sudden, I started singing in Quechua. And the dark shaman suddenly backed away from me. But then as I'm singing this song and this dark shadow kind of backs away from me, All of a sudden, the entire town time frame shifted, and it became a very active, ancient, small city. And I saw men, women, children, and all the old clothing. I saw the trading that happened below the temple when all hell broke loose. The people from the jungle attacked these people of the mountains, and they had hatchets that were made from black obsidian, and they started killing the townspeople. It was bloody, horrible, and a violent thing to see. Shocking in its human barbarity, making me realize how violent human nature really is. I could see the men up on the temple walls shooting arrows and spears, and were throwing rocks down on the offenders. And no matter what, they were going to defend the entrance to that temple. But they were able to beat back the jungle people. But the carnage was thorough and terrible. Men, women, and children lay dead or dying. Any of the jungle people that were still alive were killed instantly, which added to the horror. When I stopped singing, the images floated away, and while I could still feel the dark presence of the shaman, he no longer felt threatening. Somehow appeased by my song or by the ancient Quechua lineage that connected me to this place. And so I was suddenly back in present time, back in the ruin rather than in a live city. And I walked away pretty shaken from this place of death. I had noticed that the shaman that we had hired to come with us to do ceremonies did not come to this part of the ruin either. And I watched him walk in a way to avoid coming onto the trail that was to the village. So I walked back to the bus, and he was quietly sitting inside resting. And I asked him why he did not go to the lower village. And he answered, "Oh, I don't go there. No one really goes there. No one really wants to deal with the darkness and death of that village. You see, there was a terrible battle between the jungle people and the Inca, and most of the village died trying to defend the temple. And besides, there is a very dark force that is still there wandering around, and he does not like intruders. And I personally just choose to avoid encounters with him." Then I told him what I had seen, and he said that he had seen similar things also. He also said that there were still stories about that particular massacre in the songs that the Quechua still sing to this day. Okay, that's my story for today. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.